Salutations everyone, and welcome to another Overwatch 2 video where today I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit of Widowmaker. And I chose Widowmaker obviously because she's pretty good on this map, but secondly, we have a Doomfist on their team. And just one thing I like to do when I start with Widow, I like to wait a little bit to hear if they have a Widow and not immediately give them the target where they're expecting the Widow to come out. A lot of Widows come out of this doorway. So if they did have a Widow, I wanted them to look at the door, see, oh, no one's coming out there. Maybe they don't have a Widow. They look for something else to shoot at, and then I come out a second later and pop them in the head. It works pretty well. It's worked quite often for me, especially on this map and other maps that have doors on the sides. But what's great about having a Doomfist or a Wrecking Ball on your team with Widow is that it just gives your enemies too much to look at. It gives them too much eyeball real estate is being taken up by both of you to where one of you is going to succeed. The Doomfist is flying in and he's flying out, and you got to worry about getting dove on him. And meanwhile, I'm on Widowmaker just bopping people in the head and getting kills. So if both of us are even somewhat doing our job, even if we're not like, popping off, like carrying the team or anything like that. Don't know why the drunk rat went to that window to peek when he knew I knew he was there because he blew up my trap. But things absolutely work well. I don't have to pop off as Widow to get huge value out of her. She is, I feel like, a little bit unique in that way. Same with Wrecking Ball, I would say. You can have a Wrecking Ball go like 9-1 and like completely dominate the game. Like they didn't get a bunch of kills, but like they weren't dying. They kept contesting the point and forcing overtime, getting you to 99% and then clearing space with their ultimate. And so, like Wrecking Balls don't really have to kill, and Widows less so in that respect, but also similarly in how much in the mind game Widow plays into Overwatch. At least, how she has so far, and that like you have to be worried about her. You can't go willy-nilly into a long line of sight. You have to worry about, am I an easy shot for this Widowmaker? Maybe the enemy sends a Sombra after you. They switch to their own Widowmaker, and then you've taken an entire character's entire focus point, or they switch to Doom or Wrecking Ball or Winston. I'll see a lot of those switches if I immediately start popping off. Not always, but sometimes people do get quite annoyed and they think, all right, I just got to eliminate this Widow's value. And at that point, I've done my job. I'm in their head, and I've made them change their entire game plan to something that they're not comfortable with. If they were comfortable with it, they probably would have started out on the Widow or on the Winston in the first place, right? Obviously, you got to hit your shots. Widow is not a character you see super duper often, especially, below GM, where, they aren't going to be hitting, headshot after headshot after headshot. But it's very beneficial in that way because people aren't used to practicing against a Widowmaker. They don't have the matchup knowledge, and it can be very frustrating, and you can tilt people very quickly. Widow has that power. Doomfist has that power. Wrecking Ball can just be so annoying because he doesn't die, right? Mercy can have that same effect, especially with her res. And one of the great things about, having a Mercy on your team is that you're just not going to freaking die, right? I trust my healers. I trust my healers to do their job. And when I saw the Mercy Valk, I just, I was like, I don't have to get a quick little flick, close range headshot here. Just do some damage. Mercy will take care of the rest. I'll pop my ult and start popping more and more heads. So with Widow, you definitely change the entire dynamic. You change the whole playground of how the enemy has to fight, what they have to worry about. And I'm like creating space, honestly, as a DPS, which you don't, typically see a lot. And here they've had enough of me. They're full sending. They're wraithing right at me. The Orisa came right towards me. Popped her in the head. They're popping heals. Pop the Reaper and then pop the Widowmaker, and we get ourselves a cheeky little 3K play of the game. But of course, things are not done, and we'll finish off that Moira and force the fade from the Kiriko. And I try to get a shot on here, but she's just too far in coverage. And we all know how great Widowmaker can be. She can make impact from super duper far away, right? Like I can just be right here during this entire fight and have just as big of an impact. And I create space. And if you can create space for a tank like Doomfist to where he doesn't have to worry as much about like teams like in really heavily fortified, easily counterable positions, especially with Orisa, where she can javelin him away or pin him back to the wall when he's trying to block. If I can create enough space and or get a kill, then my Doomfist has an easier time finishing off that squishy, and then the rest of our team can just converge on Orisa, who, of course, I would counterpick to stop a Doomfist because of her ability to stop him to block with her her javelin, her energy javelin, right? But if you can get the supports and the DPS out of that equation, she just does not have that advantage anymore. No tank does. And that is one of the great things that I like about Widow. I just have to hit some of my shots. Don't have to hard carry. Don't have to go super sicko mode. And some would argue I do not go sicko mode on this attack here, but I do think I end it as 26-1, which is just pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. For me, that's pretty decent, as they would say. 26-1 with 7 assists, so I was doing my job. I enabled my Doomfist to do his job, and he enabled me to do my job. The enemy team was just not prepared. It's not like a synergy you think about a lot, but when I see a Widow favorable map and my tank is Doom or Wrecking Ball, then I know I'm going to have a much easier time on Widow. And one of the things that I like to do with Widow, obviously, is when you have the time to, hold up a position, start on high ground, and they're going to come after you. You drop to low ground, they're going to drop to low ground, and then you zip back up to high ground. Even if you do die, you are wasting time for the enemy. Like a Doomfist shouldn't be worried about having to take a long time to kill a Widowmaker. It's either, a quick boom, boom, pow, and she's dead, or the Doom might be wasting his time just a wee bit. I'm making things just a little extra difficult for him, placing my trap to get some value out of it. I got 4 recon mine kills here on just 7 minutes, mostly through the attack. And that's just a not big enough part of her kit that a lot of people see value towards. And Widow can be easily shut down with a better Widow, Ashe with a Mercy Pocket. But if we're talking about without a Mercy Pocket, I think Soldier might be a bit better because the Ashe is going to have to 2-tap you, which gives you enough time to 1-tap her, whereas the Soldier, he can hit you with the Helix Rocket. By the time you notice that it hits you, he hits you with 3 more bullets and you're dead, right? That kind of thing. Kiriko just holding her ground, and I needed to get the headshot to get the kill there, although I think we might have traded because of the projectile nature of her kunai. But trust the Mercy, get the res, and we already had enough kills to where we're forcing out ultimates, and our Doomfist is alive to where we don't lose any of our uptime, any of our contest time on the cart because of the Mercy was spending time resing me. But she knew where the bread was buttered, right? I do love it when I feel like I've earned the respect of the Mercy, where like, oh, they're damage boosting me because they know I'm hitting my shots. They know I'm popping off, or they're resing me because they know I'm bringing the value more so than our Ashe or our Genji or our Reaper. You know what? Like it feels good, and I almost never get a Mercy Pocket. And most Mercies aren't even going to pocket the Widow because you're going to one-shot headshot anyway, right? That's typically not going to be something you miss out of not having the damage boost. But if you don't get the full charge or something like that, we have the Soldier visoring here. I'm not going to want to peek that, but trying to clean up that kill with the Doom going in with the ult, and the Bastion ends up cleaning up on the Soldier. Obviously, Sombra is really, really prevalent right now. Really good, is probably the best answer against Widowmaker. It's not like your own Widow. Even if you're a better Widow, you might trade, 2 and 2 in the duel. You're 1 and 2, or you're 2 and 4. Sometimes that's not good enough to just win the Widow v Widow duel. If they're picking off your teammates better than you can pick them off, even if you're beating them on the head-to-head match. A lot of the times, a Sombra is just going to be better because there's no way that Widow is winning that fight. You come out of stealth, you hit him with the virus, just a few bullets in, even if they are able to, zip away, that virus is going to usually do the rest of the job because the Widow is going to be playing further back and away from her supports a lot of the time. And you always want to, of course, change where you are as Widowmaker. You don't want to be in the same spot every time. As you can see, I like to start off with in the top left of this green teal building here. But after I've exposed myself and I feel the heat, I hear the footsteps or something like that, then I come back up here. Once I get pressured out of here, I'm going to want to zip over to here because, they've made the progress and this is a better spot to be. Of course, just me and the Mercy left, so I'm just going to make things difficult for them. Throw up the Venom Mine. I know they're going to go there. Mercy's going to dive for it, and I'm going to try to live long enough to get my zip on out, and I do, and I survive, but they put all their resources, the Doomfist, into getting to kill me, and the Bastion was almost able to punish that aggression, but the Kiriko Cleanse was able to save, as well as having the power block at the same time, but that pulled their tank off of the cart to where I knew the rest of my team could then press on the cart against those squishies. Doom's not going to have, a ton of time where he's going to not have a cooldown in order to get back to the cart, but you never know. Those little instances, like Widow has a huge ability to make people C9. It's kind of actually crazy how oftentimes that I'll, finish off an attack or a defense or something like that by simply just existing and they just AFK off point to kill me. Or, maybe they do kill me and then they just can't get back to cart in time. Or I killed the one person that was on the cart and they can't get back to cart quick enough after killing me. So there are good answers against Widow. We've all seen them, and the Widow has to, hit a few one-shot headshots in order to get value out of that pick, of course. But as long as your presence is felt and you get them off of their typical gameplay, their normal strat that they had going in, to where they're going to pick a DPS that they weren't normally going to pick, or a tank that they weren't normally going to pick. I knew I had the speed boost here, just trying to pressure, and we're just going to finish off the Doom. I know the Kiriko's still above me. She's going to have to drop down to hit me. Uses her cleanse, which is smart, because I was not going to damage her even if I hit the shot, but the rest of our team was, of course, still alive because we won that fight. And, it's not necessarily, my solo impact is always going to be a combo of the support and the damage and the tank. But as a damage player, you just kind of have to do your job. And with every match and against every matchup, that assignment is going to look a little different, where it's like, okay, you have to take care of their Pharah, or we have to eliminate the big value coming from their Bastion, or you have to stop the dive tank from diving in and getting a kill. You have to protect your other support player. Whatever it might be, your assignment is going to be a little bit different every time. It's a lot more straightforward usually with the DPS, but of course, depending on your DPS and what the other team is playing, you have to pick and choose what your target is. If you're Tracer, what's a good Tracer target? If you're Sombra, what's a good Sombra target? If you're Widow, what are you looking to eliminate and what do you have to look out for? A lot of people playing Sombra nowadays, and she is an easy way to get the best of you. And even if the Sombra solo focuses you, that sometimes can be enough, because you can kill an enemy in 1 second, just shooting them in the head. Erstwhile, the Sombra has to dedicate, like 15 seconds to get to you, surprise you, and kill you. If I got a kill before she got there or while she was attacking me, then I've immediately won a fight in a sense of time, because I killed in 1 second. I killed a lot quicker than they could, because they had to invest so much more to get the exact same kind of value that I did with the pull of my trigger. And they C9 there at the end, which is hilarious as we look at our nice little play of the game here as Widowmaker on Havana, going 38-6. It feels good. I don't get the Mercy pocket very often. Not that I got her out the whole time or it made a huge difference. I think it might have made the difference in 1 kill in this game, but still, don't sleep on her and take advantage when your enemy team's eyeballs have to be everywhere, because they can't be everywhere at once. And that's when 1 shot translates to 1 kill.